Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to Driftin and Driftin. I'm Reverend Billy C. Wirtz, your host, and it is an absolute pleasure tonight to be with one of the great recording artists in the blues and popular music these days, Mr. Ronnie Baker Brooks. Ronnie, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm hanging in there, Billy, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure. And, you know, I always try and do a little, I've seen you on the cruise. We've talked before. This is a little bit of a different thing, and I always try to do a little research. I start doing research on you, and I'm going, wow, this is amazing. You got things going in a whole bunch of different directions. Let me back up and make sure I got everything right to start with, okay? You were born into this world January 23rd, 1967.
That's right.
And you were born in Chicago?
That's right.
Okay. And you have a brother named Wayne, who's also plays music.
That's right.
Of course, your father is the legendary Lonnie Brooks, and you are described in the All Music Guide as a fine blues interpreter and a monster guitarist with an ample supply of technique and passion. How's that?
Whatever helps fill the seats.
Sure. So you started in this business at the age of 9?
First time on stage.
Tell me about that. What was that like at 9 years old?
It was scary. It was exciting. It was, man, fantastic. It was awesome. It was, looking back now, I wish I could relive those moments again, man. I was a little kid, you know, just wanted to be with my dad. My dad was playing this club here in Chicago called Pepper's Hideout.
Oh, sure.
And the backstory is he was over in Europe during the holidays of, I want to say 1975.
Mm-hmm.
And he was over there in Europe for about 6 weeks. They were doing that Chicago Blues tour back then. He was with Hubert Sumlin, Fred Below, and Dave Myers, Max Simmons. And it was a bunch of them over there doing a tour. And
right.
I wanted to go with Dad. And he was like, of course, you can't go, son, but when I come back, if you learn 2 songs by the time I get back, I'll let you play with me here in Chicago. I was like, okay. So he gets home, man, he couldn't even get out the cab. I'm showing him I could play.
What did you play for him?
The first song was Messing with the Kid by Junior Wells and Reconsider Baby by Lowell Fulton.
Sure. 2 great songs.
Yeah, man. And so he held his word. They had a welcome home party at the Pepper's Hideout Club. And it was around my birthday. It was around my 9th birthday. And he got me on stage, man. And I had a mood ring on. Back then, they used to have a mood ring. You remember?
Yeah. Sure.
And man, I'm sitting with my mom in this packed little juke joint, man. I'm scared. I'm nervous. And then the mood ring is turning all kind of colors. And my mom like, calm down, son. Just do like you do it at home with Dad. And when she said that, I kind of relaxed, man. And when I got on stage, it was like we were at home.
And you got up and played.
Yeah.
And the place went crazy.
They started throwing me money, man. I made more money than my dad that night.
Ooh. Oh, that's...
And let me keep it.
Yeah.
But my mom took it because she bought the suits and my shoes.
That's great. So early on, nobody had to convince you that this was kind of a cool way to make a living. You know, you looked around and said, oh, this is all right.
You know, really, Billy, it was about being with Dad, man. Whatever, you know, I just felt comfortable being with him, man. Just if it was making music, if we were watching TV, if we was playing checkers, if we were wrestling, my dad was in the martial arts. He would show us moves, whatever. It was just being with him, man. And the music, it was something that I really loved. I really loved the blues. You know, I was a little kid listening to Muddy Waters and Son House and Lightning Hopkins, man, because that's what Dad was playing.
Right.
And it just gravitated to me. I love that you know, the soul and the truthness in those songs, man. And I got to play it with Dad, so that was the common denominator with us both, you know.
What's some of the best advice when he sat you down and said, okay, you can play, you know, you got this, but I need to tell you a little bit, I need to school you a little bit on the business and the game itself. What's some of the best advice he gave you?
Take care of business first. You know, first, when it comes to music, it was practice. Practice makes you better. If it was writing a song, if it was trying to sing, if it was learning a song, or put, you know, my part in a song, always practice and be ready. And then aside from the music part, take care of business first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you go in, you start playing, you're working around, you're working with other people. And then we get to this album. I'm going to jump forward a little bit. You go to this album called Gold Digger.
First record, my first solo.
And it's produced by Janet Jackson.
No, that's someone put that on Wikipedia. That's incorrect.
Okay, sorry
it was
about that.
Produced by Jelly Bean Johnson, who produced Janet Jackson.
Okay.
He produced Janet Jackson's Black Cat, that song Black Cat. He did that and several other songs with her. But Jelly Bean produced Gold Digger.
I bet that was interesting working with him.
It was awesome.
What did he bring to the table that was like outside your normal blues spectrum?
Well, you know, Jelly Bean comes from the R&B camp. You know, he's up there in Minneapolis. He was with the Flight Time Productions with Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam,
right,
and Prince. And so he comes from that. I didn't know that Jelly Bean loved the blues like he does.
Yeah.
Until we got to, you know, working on this record and getting to know each other, man. It was like, wow, he had almost more blues records than I had, man. And you know, he was very versatile when it comes to that, man. Listening to like rock, blues, R&B, everything. And so when it came to us doing this record, it was a great marriage because I had a foundation coming from blues and he had a foundation coming from R&B, and we just gelled, man. And he allowed me to be the artist that I am today.
Right.
You know, he brought that out. And
terrific.
It was building confidence. And because at first, Billy, I was real shy with sharing my original material.
Right.
With anyone.
Sure.
Yeah, it was right. Like, me and Robert Craig talked about this. When you're writing the song, it's like you opening your heart to the world.
Sure.
And, you know, that's one step. And then the next step is learning to close your heart when you get off the stage. So it was very tough for me to open my heart at first and let Jelly Bean hear my material. But once we got that rolling, man, it was like the confidence started building and building and building. And we ended up doing 3 records together. That's
just fabulous. And this leads to the next one. You know, when I talk about doing collaborations with people, it's usually with guys like I've met on the Blues Cruise, that kind of thing. I'm looking at the people you've collaborated with. Okay, you sent me some MP4s, and I'm looking Twine Time, which is one of I know you grew up playing bars if you play Twine Time. Okay, everybody learned Twine Time back in the day, but you got Steve Cropper on there.
Yeah, I got Steve on Show Me, that Joe Tech song.
I'm sorry, he's on Show Me.
Yeah.
Then you've got Bobby Blue Bland on one cut. You've got Felix Cavaliere.
That's right. That's right.
How do you cross paths with these people?
The great Steve Jordan, man. Steve Jordan produced the record, and he knew, of course, everybody knows Steve Jordan, man, in the business. Sure. You know, of course, Steve produced John Mayer, Buddy Guy, Robert Cray, Keith Richards. So, you know, he's out there. He knows a lot of people. And when we got to Memphis, he called up Bobby Bland. Now, of course, I knew Bobby Bland from my dad. You know, I grew up around Bobby Bland. But having Steve Jordan as the producer helped him, you know, get excited about doing the record with me. And
yeah, but I mean, you're sitting in a studio with Bobby Blue Bland. I mean, I'd be like, oh my.
I know, man. It was surreal. It was surreal. I was like dreaming. But what it brought me back to was listening. It was a radio station here in Chicago called WVON.
Sure.
And Butterball, E. Rodney Jones, Purvis Band, the Blues Band. I used to listen to all of them with my radio under my pillow at night. And I used to hear Bobby Bland, man, B.B. King, Little Milton, all these cats, man. And when I'm sitting next to Bobby in the studio, that came back to me. It was like, whoa, this is really happening. And he wanted me to give him the words.
Yeah, right.
So I'm sitting next to him, giving him the words as he's singing it, man. And it was like, whoa. It was unbelievable, man. But he was so nice. He was so sharing. He gave me a lot of tips on singing. He just schooled the whole room, man. Everybody, when he walked in, it was like class was in session. Because he started telling me about how he got his diction from listening to Frank Sinatra, you know, how he got his squall from a preacher.
C.L. Franklin. Yeah, C.L. Franklin's sermon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a history lesson, man. And I'm so grateful because I understand. I talked to his son Rod, who played drums with Bobby for years, and he ended up playing a gig with me, a couple of gigs with me. Rod told me that was the last thing he recorded, man.
He was on the cruise. We did he was on the cruise, and they did like this tribute thing to him, and I brought a little piece of that sermon, and he immediately wanted a copy of that, you know, the C.L. Franklin thing. I was doing our radio show today, and I played Yield Not to Temptation on one of the old Duke sides, and I just still, that voice, that gospel thing that he's got when he bears down on it like that, man, it just chills, man. It just, Steve Cropper, man, how was that? Was that just like totally the same kind of cool? I mean,
same kind of cool, man.
Steve Cropper.
That whole album, man. Just looking back, man, it was so. I'm so honored and grateful for the experience, man. Steve Cropper, that happened in Nashville. We were at Blackbird Studios down there, and Steve lives in Nashville now.
Right.
And of course, Steve Jordan was in the band with the Blues Brothers back in the day with Steve Cropper. So he called Steve to the studio, and Steve's like, let me play a track. And he got on the track, showed me with me, man. And we kind of put you know, his kind of groove with it. And I went to pay him, Billy, and he's like, no, man, keep that money, use that money to help promote your record. Thank you for keeping this kind of music alive. And my jaw just dropped down to the ground, man. It was so great, so nice and sweet to me, man. And I saw him down at the Blues Music Awards, man. He gave me a big, big hug, man. When he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, he gave me a big, big hug, man. Because, you know, prior to him getting inducted, my dad had passed away.
Sure.
And I knew my dad, and I hadn't seen him since. And so when we met up in Memphis, he just gave me a big, big hug, man. And just wouldn't let me go. It's like, man, it felt good. But Steve is a sweetheart, man. Steve,
and of course,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
No,
I was just saying, growing up in the 60s and starting off as an organ player in rock and roll bands, every show we played Don't You Hear the Music, Baby, playing Come On Up by the Rascals. And I'm going, oh, no. So Felix was cool too, huh? On the
Felix was super cool too, man. And all these guys are Hall of Famers, man. Little old me, I guess they felt my passion for the music. And I tried to tap into that, man, because it was a little intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, like, what can I do? I mean, you know, what can I do? But so what I thought about is, wait a minute, I played with Lonnie Brooks. I played with my dad. So same kind of vibe. Let's vibe together.
Right.
Let me throw me something. I try to, you know, keep the vibe going. And that's what happened to Felix, man. Felix was on 10. He came out the booth, man. He's like, yes, man, that felt great. So it just lifted everything else, you know.
Did gospel music have any influence on you coming up where you were at?
Not as much as it should have. Like I should have. You know, I to be honest with you, man, I did listen to gospel. My auntie had a lot of gospel playing around the house.
Right.
Of course, my dad played the blues, and we had a gumbo of music. You know, my dad has a rock and roll background, and we listened to that. We listened to the blues, gospel, but I wasn't, deep into the gospel as far as trying to perform it,
right,
or any of that. But it was around the house.
Yeah. So you've been playing all this time, and we still play, and even though we're kind of in a slow period right now, tell me 2 or 3 of your favorite songs to play that you always go to them, you always enjoy playing them, and the crowd always pops for them.
Well, you mean live or?
Yeah, Yeah.
Like in front of people. Oh man, I have. Of course, I got a song called "Born in Chicago"
Sure.
that I wrote, and that's always fun to do. I got a song I wrote called "Stuck on Stupid." That's off the Gold Digger records. Each
Right.
record, the first 3 records, man, I wrote every song on every record, and arranged it and co-produced it, and you know, me and Jelly Bean was rolling, man. So it was great to see those, you know, songs develop, and then we do them live and see the response from the people. So it took the song to another level for me. Of course, what else? Stuck on Stupid, Take Me With You is another one that everyone loves, you know, Take Me With You. But I just like to throw it out to the people, man. And if they feeling it and giving me something back, it just elevates me even more, you know, just get the ball of energy going.
What do you like best about the business?
Playing the music.
Yeah. It never gets old, does it?
Getting a chance to do this for a living is a blessing. Of course, we down right now, man, and it's been tough as far as that goes, but it's given me a chance to write new material, give me a chance to spend time with my family, you know, quality time with my family, and so I just try to turn a bad into a positive, you know.
Sure, sure. What do you consider your biggest accomplishment? If you look back on all of this, when you're 80 years old and you're sitting in the rocking chair, what are you going to be proudest of?
With music?
Whatever.
Well, my daughter, my baby girl, man. I'm very proud of her. Her name's Noelle. She's grown up to be a young lady now, and to see her becoming a lady is scary, but I'm very proud of her. And being able to be on the road with my dad and my brother all those years, man. I didn't get a chance to go to college, but I went to blues college. And man, those were great times, man. I got to rub shoulders with some of the world's greatest, man, that ever did this kind of music. And I'm very proud of that.
Who was it that you met out there that you were just awed to be in their presence and they delivered the goods? Just,
I got about 3 of them that really just starstruck me.
okay.
B.B. King.
Yeah.
B.B. King, when I was a kid, around that time I first played on the stage with Dad, my dad was real good friends with B.B. And whenever B.B. came to Chicago and he was around, they would hang out, man, and B.B. would send me notes home saying, hey, stay in school, keep practicing, and listen to your parents. Now, I wasn't thinking I should have kept those letters, man, but when we moved, I got lost.
Yeah, I understand.
But he used to send me letters home, man. And when I finally got to meet him, man, my heart was just throbbing like, oh,
sure.
I saw him on Sanford and Son. I saw him on TV a lot, you know. And,
right.
And that was like starstruck for me. I was really starstruck when I met him. And then he embraced me at a very early age, man. And towards the end of his life, I would go see him, man. Every time I would see him, he would bring me out on stage and say, ladies and gentlemen, how about it for this young man? I feel like I helped raise him.
Wow.
My grandson, Lonnie Brooks, Mr. Ronnie Baker Brooks, he just made me feel very, very proud, man.
Yeah.
And then the second person was Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan, I was starstruck, man. It was down at the old Grand Emporium in Kansas City.
Right, Roger's place.
Roger's place, man. I was playing there with Dad, and Stevie was playing some venue earlier that day, and Roger went down and told Stevie that Lonnie's playing at my club, man, come on down. So Stevie came down, and I saw when he walked in, he didn't have a hat on or nothing.
Right.
Walked in and he was incognito, kinda.
Yeah.
And I saw him, man, he was just staring at my dad like this, man. Every note, just staring, you know. And I went over to Dad, said, hey, man, Stevie's here. And before my dad could say, my dad got on the mic, ladies and gentlemen, my good friend Stevie Ray Vaughan is here. I'm not going to ask him to play because he just got through playing. Before he could finish that sentence, Stevie was on the stage.
Oh.
So I handed him the guitar, and I gave him my pick, and he started playing with Dad. Our bass player at the time, Lafayette, knew that I was crazy about Stevie.
Yeah.
So he gave me the bass.
Oh,
so we started jamming, man, all night, man. And when we got through, man, I said, man, you one of my biggest,
yeah.
heroes. And he looked at me and pointed at my dad. He said, he's one of my biggest heroes. And I was like, whoa. And the third person probably was John Lee Hooker, man. John Lee Hooker.
Yeah, sure.
I love John Lee Hooker, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he was the real deal.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I met him when I lived with Sunnyland Slim for about 6 weeks. We were talking about that. I met him when we opened for Hooker, and watching, I can't talk about this on the, but watching Sunnyland, who was he loved to mess with people, him messing with Hooker, and the two of them were playing pool. And it was better than the gig itself. And watch these two old guys, going at each other. Remember that club down in Mississippi, John Lee? You got some of that, didn't you? Just like, he was dead. But it was just great. And again, he had that. Yeah, those moments are the ones that you look back on and you just, you'll always treasure. I mean, just being around Sunnyland was an amazing thing. Just like you with these guys, one after another, their stories. You sit and you're listening to another world. It's another universe. So
yeah, I got to meet Sunnyland here in Chicago. We did some shows with him, and like you said, man, it was, if you knew you was next to somebody that was special, that it was like history. You knew it. I was much younger, and I knew this was history, man. I just tried to just be quiet and absorb everything I could.
He would tell stories about Big Bill Broomsey and Memphis Minnie. These names that are just like out of another world. So we've talked about all these really good things that have happened to you. And everybody hits a bump every now and then. What's been a bump in your life? What's been a rough side of the mountain you've had to get around? What was something that was a tough place to get past?
Well, it's always ups and downs in this business. That was another thing my dad told me, that you really have to do this. Don't do it. He told me, don't do it for me. Do it because you want to do it.
Right.
So you'll be able to sleep at night when it's not going well.
Mm-hmm.
For the love of it, and so it's always going to be some up and downs. I try, like I have a song called "Turn the Bad into a Positive,"
right?
And I live by that. I try to turn everything bad into something good. And
right.
This moment that we're going through now with the COVID-19 is probably the roughest thing I've been through, other than the passing of my father. Death in the family. Like it was one instance where we were on the road and my grandmother passed away, and we were over in Europe. And I couldn't go to the funeral. My dad flew back to go to the funeral. I wanted to go too, but he told me, no, you stay here just in case I can't get back in time, and you can finish the tour. You can cover me until I get back. So things like that,
Sure.
And then of course, the passing of my father was probably the hardest thing I ever dealt with and dealing with today, because he was my best friend. He was my mentor and my father. So yeah.
Right. So what's next for you? I know we got to get through this time. Where do you see things headed for you after this? You gonna go back to touring?
I hope so, Billy. I hope we can get back to it, man. I've been writing. I'm trying to prepare for a new record. I always write. I produce other artists. I've written songs for other artists. Just trying to stay productive and then be ready. Hopefully, when this does open up, we can all get back to doing what we love to do. And I think it'll be another level of appreciation, because I know you know this as well. Over in Europe, you probably get a little more appreciation over there because they know you don't come all the time.
Oh yeah.
Over here, you tend to, I'll catch you next week, especially here in Chicago, man, because we got so many great clubs here and so many good musicians. So it's a little, I think it's going to be a little more appreciation now
Right.
because it's been taken away from all of us, both sides, the musicians and the fans.
Sure. So what do you got in the way? We were talking before we started the recording here. Let's help you out a little bit here. You got anything in the way of a CD or anything that the fans could pick up?
I have the 3 CDs I have right here. They can get them from me directly, man. And the Gold Digger CD, the Take Me With You CD, and the Torch. I have T-shirts, I have masks, and I have a bunch of other merchandise they can get directly from me on my PayPal information, PayPal, and then Venmo and Cash App. I don't know if you can.
We'll get those. We'll get those for you. Do you have a website they can go to with all this info? Okay.
Yeah, RonnieBakerBrooks.com, and
okay.
I do a Facebook Live show every Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time.
Okay.
It's just me and a guitar, and sometimes I have a special guest. Like last week, I had the great Jimmy Johnson as a special guest. He lives not too far from me here. He's 91 years old, man, playing amazing, singing amazing. Prior to that, I had Shamika Copeland as a guest down here. I call this the Brooks Blues Basement. This is my little, this is where I have my shows at on Fridays at 8 p.m. Central Time. And then prior to that, I had the great Billy Branch. You know, all these people live right here in Chicago. So
God, that's just great.
That, man, and just, you know, give me something to look forward to and connect with the people.
All right. Well, we'll have that. We'll have
Blues Crews is always checking in, man.
Yeah.
I got to give them a shout out too.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your experience on the Blues Cruise, and then if you wouldn't mind, play one for us.
Okay. I love the Blues Cruise. I think it's a great idea, man. Roger started this thing, man, back in the day. And I got on there with my dad. It was a little bitty old boat, man, little ship, man. And I did not sleep for a week.
I know the feeling. Yes. It's nice to be loved. Yeah.
Man, and when they stopped it for a while and it came back to be the legendary Rhythm and Blues Cruise.
Right.
I had my own band then. And I called Roger and said, man, I got to get on the ship. He said, Ronnie, I'm sold out, but I can, you know, I can't give out a room. I can give you a room if you pay for it. I paid for my room to get on there. I jammed with everybody I knew on that ship.
Yes, sir.
And the people voted for me to come with my band. And Roger told me, he said, man, the request that the people on the ship request for is like gospel to me.
Oh, yeah.
So if they request you, I'm bringing you. And they
That's
did.
The game.
And man, I got to give Roger credit because there's nowhere I can go in this world I don't run into a blues cruiser, man. They're going to show up. They show love and they've been supporting me. My solo career, man, I'm very grateful for the opportunity. And it's the best fun you have. For 7 days, you get to jam with some of your friends. I get to see you. I get to see everybody and hang out. We get to talk. And the most important thing is seeing their show and then getting a jam with them too.
Absolutely.
I mean, you rub the shoulders with Bobby Bland. You rub the shoulders with Taj Mahal, Tommy Castro. You know, me and Tommy and Deanna. From us jamming on the ship, we got the chance to do the legendary Rhythm and Blues review.
Sure.
And we took it on land and did some records together and toured. So it's been great, man.
I worked with this young guy in Daytona, Florida, this other piano player, and I said, I think you'd go good on the Blues Cruise. His name was Wainwright.
Oh, Victor?
Yeah, it was Victor.
Yeah, he's a bad man.
There are just certain acts and people like that just right off the bat, you know, they're meant for the cruise, and you know, much like yourself, and I have a great time doing it. Go ahead and play one for us, man. This has been great. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
And I had the pleasure to write with some friends of mine, Big Head Todd and the Monsters. It's called Remedy. It goes like this. Hear the nation, it's a remedy passed down through the generations. Can hear the trouble land. If you feel them in your heart, lay them down with a heavy hand. Try and keep it alive with just our will to survive. Every night, y'all, and hold 'em tight now. From midnight to dawn, my side got mojo is on. In the final hour, blue superpower. Blues can heal the nation. It's a remedy passed down through the generations. Blues can heal the troubled land. If you feel them in your heart, lay them down with a heavy hand. The brooks run into the ocean. Ocean runs into the sea. I come from the roots of a blues family tree. On the wings of the breeze, set your soul at ease. The Chicago flyer got to take you higher. Blues can heal the nation. It's a remedy passed down through the generations. Blues can heal the troubled land. If you put them in your heart, lay them down with a heavy hand. A true feeling you feel with some soul that's real. The real deal, y'all. With sex appeal, y'all. A healer worldwide. This Tommy will never lie. Take this legacy and ride. Cause the blues will never die. No, no. Blues can heal the nation. Blues can heal the troubled land. Blues can heal the nation. Can heal the troubled land. Can heal the nation. It's a remedy passed down through the generations.
Man, that was great. Thank you so much. Listen, it's been really great talking to you. And on behalf of myself, the LRBC, and all the folks involved with Driftin and Driftin, we wish you the best. Give us that website one more time.
RonnieBakerBrooks.com. Facebook Live every Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time. Be there. I'll see you there.
That's terrific. And folks, don't forget that after this episode tonight, you can go to the LRBC page on Facebook and our brand new Driftin and Driftin podcast, where we'll be playing a lot of his music and a lot of the music that he and I have talked about for your listening pleasure to keep the party going. On behalf of all of us here, thank you guys so much. Peace, love, and blues power. We'll see you all later. Good night, everybody.